This Part 2 Episode 133. Seeing Long Haochen bow to him, Li Xin showed a deep look, and directed a smile. Saint Knight Head doesn't need to stand on formalities. Saying that, he raised his hand. One could see waves of gene light instantly burst forth toward Long Haochen, but when this green attack reached him, its driving force alarmed Haochen. Is he probing me? Long Haochen was originally not a very competitive person, but as the Saint Knight Head of the Night Temple, he naturally couldn't cower at such a time. Coming to a standstill, Long Haochen's aura immediately had a great change. A thin layer of golden color extended from the golden foundation armor, and light buzzing sounds were heard. A fantastic scene followed. That green light pushed onto his body at full force the instant it arrived, but as this golden light covered Long Haochen's surroundings, it met this impact attack and echoed with the green attack, making for a dazzling sight. Long Haochen respectfully replied, "Temple Head Li is exaggerating. Your strength is as vast as the ocean. I am merely a lonesome boat in comparison." These words were purely sincere. Although he had used his evolved ripples of light ability to resist Li Xingji's spiritual energy shock, that spiritual energy immediately submerged him like a vast ocean, something he could himself only possibly accomplish by using a very powerful ability of shock. Li Xingji laughed out loud, "Come, and let me see the letter old Long has written." Saying that, he waved his hand towards Long Haochen, the green light turning into a rope then lightly rolled around the scroll in Haochen's hand. As it slowly moved, the scroll flew towards him. This was real exquisite knowledge. Although he used very little spiritual energy, all of it was coiling like a snake, without the slightest superficial leak. This was basically a master-level control of spiritual energy. Long Haochen had never seen such exquisite control in his life. As merit follows fame, this Temple Head Li gave him a feeling of unfathomable deepness. Li Xingji pointed his hand to the scroll. Without need for him to pay concern to the method of opening this scroll depicted by Long Haochen, the scroll spread out in his hand. Don't underestimate this small act, the simple-looking act of breaking the magical array around a magic scroll. This was after all a magic scroll made by the divine knight Long Qianying. Furthermore, Long Haochen could clearly feel that Li Xingji was showing off purposely. He could very naturally use his own spiritual energy to take care of daily matters, making understandable the reason for his heavy body weight. His spiritual energy could help him with almost any matter, therefore his body didn't move much, and naturally would pile up fat. This fatness was very natural. After opening the scroll, Li Xingji became very focused, taking a few minutes to read it fully. After that, his expression changed unceasingly as he kept reading. Closing the scroll, Li Xingji shut both his eyes, seemingly pondering. A short moment later, he declared to the nearby Tan Wan, "Please go out first, I need to have a talk with Saint Knight Head." Tan Wan was shocked. She was Li Xingji's one and only personal disciple. Don't judge Li Xingji because of his short and stout appearance. His face was always carrying warmth and a smile, but she knew well about the extreme pride of this teacher of hers, regarded as the #1 genius of the Mage Temple for the last 1,000 years. Her teacher was only 60 or so years old this year, surpassing by far successive generations of top-notch powerhouses of the Mage Temple. In cultivation, even the Night Temple's 3 divine knights wouldn't necessarily be her teacher's opponent. The reason why she was her only disciple was that among the top of the younger generation of the Mage Temple, only her talent obtained the approval of her teacher, in addition to the fact that they shared the same wind element. Seeing the seriousness on her teacher's current face, Tan Wan immediately understood that this provisional Saint Knight Head representing the Night Temple was absolutely not that simple, or her teacher wouldn't view him so importantly. Tan Wan also inherited Li Xingji's pride, but because she was still young, she wasn't good at concealing that pride, and often let it surface. But this didn't mean she wasn't intelligent. On the contrary, her wits and talents were highly praised even by Li Xingji. Hearing her teacher, she only gave Long Haochen a stupefied glance before promptly agreeing, leaving from the right side and letting out some twisted light fluctuations, soundlessly disappearing from space. His disciple having left, Li Xingji returned to that harmless face. "Now should be the time for you to show me your true face, Night Temple's Scion of Light." Light circulated around, as the golden foundation armor flew out from Long Haochen's body like a liquid, condensing into a golden foundation box behind Long Haochen's back. Tapping his right fist on his chest, he respectfully declared, "Night Temple's Long Haochen greets Temple Head." Seeing Long Haochen's excessively young look and handsome face, Li Xingji just stared blankly. Despite being very good at concealing his emotion, his inward shock was still extremely great. The contents of Long Qianying's letter was very clear. Long Haochen was his biological grandson, and truly was formally appointed as the Night Temple's Saint Knight Head. In the meantime, the Night Temple already gave its approval for him to reform his demon hunt squad, and wished for the Mage Temple's cooperation. If the Tombal Mountain Pass has any needs, he could join them in battle, but not for more than 3 months' time. Although this letter didn't mention Long Haochen's cultivation, with Li Xingqi's understanding of Long Qianying's character, he understood the old Long's stubborn points. Even his own grandson wouldn't be allowed to wear this golden foundation armor without sufficient strength. In addition, his previous probing had already made him feel clearly that Long Haochen's cultivation was indeed at least at the 8th step. Facing Li Xingqi and seeing him sigh with sorrow, Long Haochen didn't utter a word, only keeping his crystal-clear eyes on the temple head of the Mage Temple. Li Xingqi immediately retrieved the scroll in his hand, tidying it up. "Have a seat, we shall talk." Saying that, he brought Long Haochen into the hall behind him, then sat on the sofa. Li Xingqi's office was decorated simply, but gave off a feeling of sturdiness. All the furniture was made of a crow blackwood, which Long Haochen didn't recognize. It distributed a faint fragrance, which made Long Haochen distinctly feel as if his mental force was boosted as he smelled it. The most characteristic point in this office was the bookshelf on its wall. It probably had over 10,000 books piled up, and let out a simple and unadorned atmosphere. Furthermore, there were so many books having a spiritual nature that Long Haochen could sense, which made them feel as though they were alive. Li Xingqi said with a smile, "Long Haochen, you should have come to look for Lin Xin, right? Did you know that a bit over a year ago, before the Demon God Emperor initiated the Holy War, I was the first one from the Alliance to give my approval to hand you over? Do you know why?" Long Haochen was slightly blank, and didn't think this Mage Temple's head would be so direct with his words. "That's because the Alliance isn't prepared for such a holy war. There's still a considerable gap between the demon's forces and ours, and we need time." Long Haochen replied indifferently, as if Li Xingqi wasn't speaking about the matter of sacrificing his own life. Li Xingqi declared with some surprise, "So you are one of the rare ones that saw through my thoughts. Many were thinking that I wanted to strike the Night Temple, for the sake of winning the seat of number 1 from the Night Temple. You're right. The Alliance's preparation is still not enough. But there's another reason why I wanted to hand you over. Because I am not prepared yet." When Long Haochen looked at this short and stout elder, he suddenly had a special feeling. From Li Xingqi could be felt an absolute self-confidence, the belief that he could certainly one day match the Demon God Emperor controlling all demons. Li Xingqi was seated on the sofa, unhurriedly declaring, "That's right, I'm still not prepared yet." For 6,000 years, the Temple Alliance had been accumulating forces. Although the contradictions between the 6 great temples were unavoidable, in front of the powerful common enemy, everyone has to unify. And what we want is to launch the counterattack against demonkind, to retrieve our lost territory, and even eradicate forever the demons from the continent. For that, an important issue has to be faced, and that's the Demon God Emperor. The Demon God Emperor Feng Xiu is said to have a spiritual energy totaling 1,000,000, making him reach another realm. If the Alliance doesn't have anyone able to beat him, what use would there even be to overpower the demon's side? In the end, we will still hardly escape the fate of ending up as the losing side. That's why I said that I'm not ready yet. To speak arrogantly, I have always believed, until meeting you, that I am the one with the greatest chances to take him down with myself." Reaching this point, Li Xingqi's self-confidence became even greater. "This year, I will be 67 years old. If I am given 100 more years, maybe I will have such a chance. But if the Alliance collapses, the final ending will inevitably be tragic. Therefore, I couldn't ruin the possibility of such a good situation just because of you. Unfortunately, the influence the Night Temple has gained over so many years was nothing I could compare with, and in the end my proposal was rejected. However, now it seems that Yang Haohan and Long Qianying really were right. You are worth such an investment from the Alliance." While saying that, Li Thenji suddenly sounded quite tired, but also relaxed, as if an immense burden had just been unloaded from him. A sharp look was shot from Li Xingqi's eyes, piercing Long Haochen like sharp swords and immediately exciting the spiritual energy in him. A drizzling splendor overflowed from him and took the shape of a defensive, led, spiritual highland. Li Xingqi showed a slight smile and shifted his sight back to him. "Long Haochen, you have to remember that this world has never been lacking geniuses. Although talent such as yours is extremely rare, it doesn't mean such has never appeared. But until now, the humans have never produced a powerhouse truly able to stand against the Demon God Emperor. Do you know why?" Long Haochen shook his head. "Please explain, Temple Head." Li Xingqi replied, "That's because they didn't understand the notion of patiently enduring." "What?" Long Haochen's brain had been working at high speeds after hearing Zheng's question, but this was an answer that hadn't come to his mind. The previous Scion of Samsara and the Divine Holy Sword Wielder were also unbelievable prodigies of their generation. Their cultivation also reached the 9th step, but in the end, it still ended up with their deaths. At most, the demon side was only restrained a little. In terms of innate talent, they are absolutely not below you, and may even surpass you. For instance, it was at the age of 36 that the Scion of Samsara of that time dared challenge the demon god emperor, amply proving his self-confidence and strength. But in the end both sides suffered damage, and the same went for the Divine Holy Sword Wielder. Their talent could very possibly lead a large human counteroffensive, or at least turn around the situation of disadvantage. But in the end, they all lost because of their impetuousness. Seeing Long Haochen's expression of incomprehension, Li Xin declared, "You don't understand, right? Then, let me put it simply. If the Scion of Samsara of that time hadn't challenged the demon god emperor at the age of 36, but 136 years old, would the result be the same? If the Divine Holy Sword Wielder had challenged him at the age of 140 or so years instead of 40 or so, what about it?" Long Haochen couldn't help but retort, but these ancestors had no other choice at that time. The demon army was suppressing the territory and left them without a choice but to act. Li Xin snorted to that, letting out an expression of disdain. They had exactly the same mentality as you, which is why they didn't manage to really become the leaders of a human victory against the demon race. Since the start of the Dark Era, we were compelled to this small piece of land, but have never been compelled to a desperate situation. That's right, the demons would frequently launch attacks, but having crossed hands with them, what do you think to be the gap between the alliance and the demons' strengths? Long Haochen replied very seriously, the demons are under the lead of the 72 demon gods, and their army of powerhouses is considerably formidable. Only by relying on the natural advantages of the 6 great forts can the alliance barely resist their attacks. Of course, we are surely inferior in terms of strength, and I don't understand the true secret trumps that the alliance has in reserve. Li Xin indifferently answered, Holy War? You may be the fuse that triggered it, but in truth, the fundamental reason behind it is that the demons are afraid. Over the past years, the growth of the alliance has been too fast and surpassed their expectations. The demon god emperor is fearing that our strength grows too fast, and threatens the demon rule. At the same time, the demons' numbers are far too enormous, and need to be reduced. That's why this holy war broke out, and why until now, none of the 6 great temples have been broken through despite the simultaneous attacks. Long Haochen gasped, faintly comprehending Li Xingqi's point. The latter continued, in other words, at those times, they had not been in situations where they had no other choice but to fight to death. If the Divine Holy Sword Wielder or the Scion of Samsara had endured silently for long enough until the time that they had a certain enough grasp, the alliance wouldn't be in its current state. As you are an intelligent person, I believe that you understood my point. Of course, I am not telling you to shut yourself inside the alliance until then, quite the opposite. True growth and comprehension require one to incessantly challenge powerhouses, to undergo incessant battles. But you have to remember to try as far as possible to avoid getting into unnecessary danger and troubles. At this point, Li Xingqi shut his eyes and leaned on the sofa, seemingly reflecting deeply. Long Haochen replied respectfully, Many thanks to you, Elder. From our conversation, I owe Senior a sudden flash of insight and deep comprehension. Li Xingqi waved his hand, Now go live competitively. Although I appreciate your talent, I definitely won't show mercy in the battle for the 6 temples rankings. It's still too early for you to think of defeating me. 5 years later we'll start the next temples contest. I hope that at that time, I won't see you as an opponent. But in 15 years you should be able to truly start spreading your radiance. Long Haochen slowly stood up and made, once again, his salutations to Li Xingqi before turning around. Li Xingqi narrowed his eyes slightly, looking at Long Haochen's steady departing steps. Deep inside, his thoughts were, what a child of fortune. I hope that he won't follow his predecessor's steps. Li Xingqi's words really rang a bell inside Long Haochen's mind. Being about to reach 20 this year, and having focused all his energy on cultivation and fights against demons over the past 10 years, his understanding of the Alliance's internal affairs and the relationship between demonkind and humankind wasn't great. Since his return from the swamps of gloom, and especially after his return from seclusion, he had learned a lot of things he didn't know before from Long Qianying, Sheng Yu, and Li Xingqi. Almost everything was about guiding him in the correct path. Long Haochen therefore gained in maturity. Hey! As Li Xingqi's words were reverberating in Long Haochen's mind, he heard a call. Long Haochen felt startled, and unconsciously turned around. Both he and the person who called him out became blank. The one who'd just called him was obviously Li Xingxi's direct disciple Tan Wan. And this was as Long Haochen was thinking of leaving through the transporting formation. At that time he met face to face with Tan Wan. In a flash of sluggishness, he came to realize his mistake, because Li Xingxi's talk brought him far too much. It was enough to make him forget to put on the golden foundation armor before going back out. And at such a time, Tan Wan came to meet him face to face. Tan Wan's shock was obvious, naturally due to Long Haochen's looks. Being the direct disciple of the Mage Temple's head Li Xingxi, and moreover blessed with good looks, Tan Wan was an ideal lover in the eyes of almost all mags of the Mage Temple. The youths that came solicitously to her were far too many, but she was certain that the person in front of her eyes was incomparable to any one of them. Her first thought was, so a man can actually be so nice looking. Be it in terms of build or looks, she couldn't see a single flaw of Long Haochen. As someone who used to be conceited in her looks, she unexpectedly had a kind of feeling of shame, and moreover, that person looked even younger than her. Long Haochen's immediate response gave Tan Wan a certain confirmation. After finding out about his mistake, he immediately liberated his golden foundation armor. Under Tan Wan's helpless look, that golden armor glinting in orange speedily covered Long Haochen's body, and the golden mask reappeared to shelter his face from view. That's really you? After a short time of sluggishness, Tan Wan's expression was already filled to the brim with shock. Long Haochen nodded to her, before stepping inside the transporting formation, immediately being sent away. Seeing his silhouette gradually turn illusory, Tan Wan immediately rushed out from Li Xingxi's transporting formation. A girl's curiosity was always greater than a boy's, and moreover this shock exceeded all she used to know. Right after arriving in the second floor, Long Haochen was in great shock because he saw in a glance that Caia was under another person's embrace. After giving another good look, he was filled with nice surprise and stepped forward rapidly, letting out a loud shout, "Big sis, Lin Xin." The one hugging Kia was Li Xin, who Long Haochen hadn't seen for a long while. And beside them Lin Xin, who had regained his long dark green hair, was holding right hands with Han Yu, full of excitement. Originally, Lin Xin just got notified by Elder Fei right after Long Haochen was called out by the Mage Temple's head Li Xingxi. Hearing news about mates from his team as well as a Golden Foundation Knight, he immediately had a guess. No one had a better trust in Long Haochen's strength than Lin Xin. He was almost certain that Haochen was that Golden Foundation Knight. Immediately, he picked up Li Xin in ecstasy and hastened as fast as possible. In the corridor, he ran upon Kia and Han Yu, who were waiting for Long Haochen's return. Li Xin heard about Kia's loss of memories long before. Filled with feelings of tenderness, her sight was hazy with tears as she hugged her. Lin Xin and Han Yu were holding each other's right hand firmly. After 2 years passed, the brothers were so happy to reunite they were at lost for words. Before they had the time to start conversing, Long Haochen returned. Lin Xin let go of Han Yu's hand, and shouted loudly, "Boss!" Dashing quickly, he gave Long Haochen an enormous hug. Everyone was full of excitement and almost unable to control themselves. Although Long Haochen was clad in golden foundation armor, his voice didn't change. "Haochen!" Li Xin let go of Kia and stepped forward with an expression of nice surprise. Despite her strong nature, she was totally dripping with tears. Letting go of his hug with Lin Xin, Long Haochen closely hugged Li Xin. The surging emotions made Long Haochen speechless as he was choked with emotions. After quite a while, everyone's emotions came back to tranquility, and Long Haochen declared, "Let's talk after we get inside the room." The 5 of them entered Long Haochen's room together. After shutting his room well, Long Haochen took off the golden foundation armor on him in a rush. In front of his elder sister and brother, how could he be willing to stay estranged in this layer of metal? At this time he could observe Li Xin and Lin Xin with attention. Compared to the time before their separation, Li Xin seemed a lot more mature. Her build was even more fiery and sexy. Her pink hair was combed behind her head, and her eyes showed great focus. Her cultivation had obviously progressed greatly. Compared to Li Xin, Lin Xin's changes were even more huge. Before their separation, Lin Xin used to give off a frivolous feeling, but at the current time, the changes in his looks weren't huge, but it felt clear that he had become much more resolute. He also looked quite dignified, giving him a steady look, which was something unthinkable to describe the past him. In particular, the expression in his eyes was focused and steady, lacking the erratic wandering of before. It seemed that he had matured greatly over these 2 years of separation. Without looking at his appearance, Long Haochen may have been unable to recognize him. Even without asking, Long Haochen could imagine that Lin Xin had experienced a lot over the past 2 years. Lin Xin, these 2 years have been hard on you. Long Haochen declared sincerely. These words weren't fired blindly. The one who contributed the most for the 64th Commander Grey Demon Hunt Squad over these 2 years was Lin Xin. The pills he made gave huge boosts to everyone's external spiritual energy, and he also supplied a lot of pills for everyone's survival. And their captain Long Haochen didn't do any such thing, only remaining in secluded cultivation all this time. Hearing Long Haochen speak so, Lin Xin's expression had a change. Abruptly standing up, he stood straight in front of him like a child in the wrong. Captain, don't say that. What I did was only natural. But. Li Xin suddenly stepped in. Let it be, this is all the past. Now that everyone has reunited with such difficulty, what do you want to say that for? Lin Xin turned his head to glance at Li Xin. To Long Haochen's surprise, Lin Xin, who was originally head over heels for Li Xin, shook his head resolutely. Xina, I have to say it no matter what. If I don't let boss know about this matter, I won't be able to rest for this whole lifetime. Long Haochen, who understood the seriousness of the matter, asked in puzzlement, what has happened in the end? Just what kind of matter? Lin Xin lowered his head. I didn't defend Xina well. During this holy war, her arm was cut off by the enemy. What? Long Haochen stood up in shock all of a sudden. The look in his eyes immediately becoming severe. To him, Li Xin was no less than a blood-related big sister. Back in Haoyu City, Li Xin's meticulous care gave him a moral support that was no inferior to a parent's. There's no way Long Haochen's attachment to Li Xin could ever weaken. Li Xin hastily stood up. This is all in the past. Didn't this arm just get connected back? For my sake, Lin Xin has been suffering a lot over more than a year. Haochen, don't blame him, this was absolutely not his fault. While saying that, she took the initiative to join Lin Xin's side and held his right arm, nestling against him, full of warmth. Seeing them, Long Haochen immediately came to an understanding. Lin Xin had a guilty look, both his eyes reddened, while Lin Xin had a warm and happy look. Obviously, their feelings towards each other had made a qualitative leap. Lin Xin, just tell me what has happened in great detail. I also heard that you are now the captain of the #1 Mage Squad of the Mage Temple. Right when Lin Xin wanted to start to talk, Li Xin rushed to be the first. Let me tell you everything. If you listen to him, it will surely end up as a speech of himself trying to take all blame. He's just totally blind with love. There's no war without deceased and wounded. At that time, he was busy making pills inside the temple while I was participating in the Tombal Mountain Pass defense, and in one battle, my arm was cut off by the enemy. Afterwards, it was attached back, but had lost a lot of its agility. Like a madman, Lin Xin then kept insisting that he didn't protect me well. And then he changed, and broke that oath he made once, starting to train using offensive magic, while developing all kinds of pills to try to treat my arm. Now this broken arm has already recovered completely, and after training in the use of offensive magic, greatly increasing his capabilities, he joined in battles, and rose in rank swiftly due to his own strength and outstanding performance. Gaining appreciation from the Mage Temple's higher-ups, he accumulated military deeds until gaining the position of captain of the #1 Mage Squad. Hearing Li Xin's whole story, both Long Haochen and Han Yu were in great shock, and Han Yu asked, have you really learnt offensive magic? Li Xin's story sounded very simple, and could sound like a very ordinary story from an outsider's viewpoint. But with Long Haochen's understanding of Lin Xin, he could sense that when Li Xin's arm had been cut off, Lin Xin had been greatly provoked. In fact, the reason why Lin Xin had pledged to never learn offensive magic was that his parents both died while researching magic in the past. This shadow influenced him as one might well imagine. But because of Li Xin's injuries, Lin Xin actually walked out of this shadow. For the sake of protecting Li Xin, he learnt offensive magic. This instant, Long Haochen finally relaxed. So that unreliable mage who was unable to attack finally matured, and finally became someone who's able to protect his big sister well. Stepping forward, Long Haochen came in front of Lin Xin. Seeing Long Haochen's pure eyes, Lin Xin's heartbeat immediately quickened. Anyone could tell his nervousness. Li Xin seemed to want to keep speaking, but was stopped with one gesture from Long Haochen. Lifting up both his hands, Long Haochen grabbed Lin Xin's shoulder. It's enough, brother. These days have been really hard on you. Lin Xin was blank. He used to imagine many times in the past the attitude his captain would have after hearing that story. But he didn't imagine that he would receive this response. Tears were brimming from his eyes. Over the past 2 years, he just paid far too much. His frantic magic cultivation even greatly impressed Tan Wan, renowned as the #1 genius of the younger generation. While keeping such a frantic rate of cultivation, he took time outside for developing a medicine for Lin Xin. The real times of rest he had were below 2 hours daily. Only by madly indulging himself in training could he lighten that pain and guilt he had. Many times, he encountered a dangerous situation of elemental backlash, but even so, he kept forcing his limits. At this very moment, that simple sentence from Long Haochen made Lin Xin feel that all he invested was worth it. His captain didn't blame him for that. Boss, the immense pressure filling him was finally abandoned, and Lin Xin's closed heart finally opened totally. Losing his voice in bitter cries, his pent-up emotions raged out like a mountain torrent. Han Yu wanted to advance to console him, but was blocked by Lin Xin. She understood Lin Xin's current mental state the most clearly. Now that he was finally liberated from these emotional issues, letting him cry his fill was definitely far better than holding these sentiments back inside him. Lin Xin's burst of emotion lasted for over a quarter of an hour before calming down. Although his eyes became inflamed due to crying, his look was clearly a lot softer, and his repressed heartstrings finally loosened. He didn't have that immense mental pressure anymore, but the intense tiredness made him directly fall asleep in Lin Xin's arms. The pressure he inflicted upon himself these days was too much. After letting it all out, he needed to have a good rest to let his body and mind recover their normal state. 2 days later, on the Tombal Mountain Pass fortress. What does the Mage Temple rely on most to defend the Tombal Mountain Pass? It's without a doubt their mags. The Mage Temple had a total of 10 main mage squads, all formed of 500 people, all of whom reached at least the 5th step of cultivation. The ones below the 5th step only served as backup forces, and weren't allowed to join the battlefield. This was a protective action the Mage Temple chose for the sake of defending the mags of lower cultivation. After all, fostering a mage wasn't an easy thing at all, and maybe another Li Xingqi could appear among these mags of currently low rank. Aside from the 10 main mage squads, they had some even more powerful mage squads, constituted of powerhouses. All of the main mage squads were specialized in only one element, because this was the only way to avoid the appearance of elementary clashes in the battlefield. It wasn't because of being the strongest in the team that Lin Xin managed to distinguish himself as captain, but because the #1 mage squad, known as Ignition Corps, was only composed of control mags. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.